The large ship named Eternal Inquiry moved slowly into Earth's orbit. It was big, silver, and shaped like a leaf. The year was 2087, and humans had only just begun to travel to Mars. They were not ready for visitors from beyond their solar system. Inside the ship, Chief Researcher Taiho looked at the blue planet through the main window. His 6 fingers tapped on the control panel as he spoke. "Begin the scan," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed excitement. This was his 10th first contact mission, but Earth was special. Reports said the humans had gone from simple tools to space travel in less than 10,000 years. That was very fast. Jiwoo, his young assistant, moved quickly to the scanner controls. She had gray skin like all members of their species, but her head crest was bright blue, showing her youth and lower rank. "Scanning now, Chief," she said. The machines hummed as they collected data about Earth's life forms, atmosphere, and technology. Level Taeho watched the data appear on his screen. He had studied many planets and many species for the Galactic Federation. The Federation included 127 different intelligent species from 89 star systems. Each new species they found followed certain patterns of evolution. But as the data on humans came in, Taeho's 4 eyes widened. "This cannot be right," he said. "Jiwoo, check the scanner calibration." Jiwoo ran the test quickly. "All systems working perfectly, Chief." Taiho shook his head. "Then we have found something new." The next day, Taiho called his research team together. 10 scientists from different Federation worlds sat around the meeting table. On the wall screen was a picture of a human. "Look at this species," Taiho said. "What do you notice?" The scientists studied the image. 2 arms, 2 legs. "Basic bilateral symmetry," said one. "Endoskeleton, not exoskeleton," said another. "Relatively poor senses," added a third. "Average vision, poor smell, moderate hearing." Taiho nodded. "Yes. And what protections do you see?" The room was quiet. Finally, Jiwoo spoke up. "They have none, Chief. No protective shells, no poison, no natural armor, no camouflage." "Exactly." Taiho tapped his control pad, and the screen showed more images. "No claws, no fangs, physically weaker than many animals on their planet. Their skin tears easily. They cannot run very fast. They are not natural swimmers. They die in temperatures that many species can survive." The scientists looked confused. "How did they become the dominant species on their planet?" asked one. Taiho smiled. "That is the right question. According to our theories, intelligence evolves as a defense. A species is hunted by predators, so it develops bigger brains to outsmart those predators. We see this pattern on every world with intelligent life, but humans—" He paused for effect. "Humans appear to have evolved without natural predators." The room filled with surprised voices. This went against everything they knew about evolution. "But that's impossible," said an older scientist named Kidu. "Every species has predators. It's the basic rule of evolution. Not humans, it seems," said Taiho. "Or if they had predators, they disappeared very early in human development. The data suggests humans became the top predator on their planet long before they should have been able to." The scientists spent hours looking at the data. Earth had many dangerous animals: lions, tigers, bears, sharks. But none of them had stopped humans from spreading across the planet. In fact, many of these animals were now endangered because of humans. 3 days later, Taiho presented his findings to a Federation Council meeting. The ship's communication room connected to the council chamber on the Federation homeworld. On the large screen, 7 council members listened to Taiho's report. "In conclusion," Taiho said, "humans show signs of being an evolutionary anomaly. They seem to have developed high intelligence without the evolutionary pressure of predators." There was silence when he finished. Then Council Member Minho, known for his strict views, spoke. "This is concerning, Chief Researcher. If what you say is true, these humans do not fit our understanding of how intelligent life develops. That makes them unpredictable." Taiho nodded. "Yes, Council Member, but also fascinating. They could teach us new things about evolution." Minho frowned. "Or they could be dangerous." A species that becomes intelligent without natural enemies might not understand the concept of existential threat. They might not have developed the caution that comes from being prey. The lead council member, an older female named Sori, raised her hand for silence. "This requires more study," she said. "Chief Researcher Taiho, you are authorized to make first contact with the humans. Learn more about their history and biology. We need to understand this anomaly before we consider Earth for Federation membership." After the meeting, Jiwoo found Taiho in the observation room looking down at Earth. "Chief, do you think Council Member Minho is right? Could humans be dangerous?" Taiho didn't answer right away. He watched the blue planet turning slowly. "All species can be dangerous, Jiwoo. But humans are strange. Look at their history." He showed her the data they had collected from human broadcasts and internet signals. They fight wars against themselves. They build weapons that can destroy their own planet. But they also create art, music, and literature that speaks of peace and love. They are a puzzle. Jiwoo looked worried. "When will we contact them?" "Tomorrow," said Taiho. "We will send a message to their world leaders, explaining who we are and asking for a meeting." The next morning, the Federation ship sent its message. It was received by Earth's United Nations Space Agency. Within hours, the world knew. Aliens had arrived. The humans responded quickly. They wanted to meet. They suggested a neutral location, the International Moon Base established 10 years earlier. As Taiho prepared for the meeting, he reviewed the latest data from Earth. Human news channels showed both excitement and fear about the alien contact. Some humans welcomed the visitors. Others warned of danger. "Interesting," Taiho said to himself. "They fear us, even though they don't know what we are. Perhaps they do understand existential threats after all." On the day of the meeting, Taiho, Jiwoo, and 2 security officers took a small shuttle to the moon base. 4 human representatives waited for them, leaders from different Earth nations. As Taiho walked into the meeting room, he studied the humans carefully. They looked nervous but determined. One of them, a female named Dr. Hana Kim, stepped forward. "Welcome to our moon," she said. "We represent Earth and the human species. We come in peace and friendship." Taiho bowed, following the human custom his team had observed. "Thank you for your welcome," he said through the translator device. "We come from the Galactic Federation, a community of intelligent species. We also come in peace." As they sat down to talk, Taiho kept thinking about the evolutionary puzzle. How had these fragile creatures become so powerful without having natural predators? Why did they build such deadly weapons if they had no enemies? And most importantly, what would happen when they joined the wider galaxy? Would they be friends? Or would they be something the Federation had never seen before? Taiho didn't know yet, but he was going to find out. 1 month after first contact, the Federation set up a research base in Seoul, South Korea. The humans had offered this location because of its advanced technology centers and universities. The Federation had chosen anthropologist Doyen and xenobiologist Sunmi to lead the investigation into human evolution. The research base was a simple building with 5 rooms. It had labs with Federation equipment and spaces where humans and aliens could work together. Large windows let in natural light, which the Federation scientists enjoyed. Doyen was older than most Federation scientists who worked in the field. His gray skin had darker spots showing his age. He had studied 15 different species across the galaxy, but humans interested him the most. "They are so different from us," he told Sunmi on their first day. "Look at their cities, their wars, their art. No other species builds things the way they do." Sunmi was younger. This was her first major assignment. She had studied alien biology for 10 years but had never met humans before. "I'm more interested in their bodies," she said. "They look weak, but they've survived on a planet with many dangerous animals." Their human partner was Dr. Hana Kim, the same scientist who had greeted Taiho on the moon. She was a paleoanthropologist, someone who studied ancient humans. She had short black hair and always wore comfortable clothes that were easy to move in. "I'm excited to learn from you," Dr. Kim said when they met. "But I also have many questions about your species and the Federation." Doyen smiled, showing his small, flat teeth. "That is fair. We will learn from each other. The research began the next day. Dr. Kim took the Federation scientists to a museum with human fossils. They saw bones from early humans and human relatives going back millions of years. These are Australopithecus, from about 3.5 million years ago, Dr. Kim explained, pointing to a skeleton. They walked on two legs but had smaller brains than modern humans. Doyun studied the bones carefully. Did they have predators? Yes, said Dr. Kim. Many. Big cats, hyenas, large birds of prey. Early humans were not at the top of the food chain. Interesting, said Sunmi. So when did humans become the top predator? Dr. Kim thought for a moment. That's hard to say exactly. Maybe around 300,000 years ago when modern humans appeared. They used better tools and controlled fire, but they still faced dangers. Over the next few weeks, the Federation scientists collected more information. They studied human DNA, fossil records, and ancient tools. They watched videos of modern humans hunting and building. Something wasn't adding up. One evening, Doyun and Sunmi were working late in the lab. Doyun looked troubled. What's wrong? Sunmi asked. The timeline doesn't make sense, Doyun said. Look at this. He showed her a chart on his screen. Every other intelligent species we've studied took at least 1 million years to go from basic tools to advanced technology. Humans did it in less than 10,000 years. Sunmi frowned. Could our data be wrong? I've checked it 3 times. Something happened with humans about 10,000 years ago. Their development suddenly got much faster. They went from simple farmers to space travelers in an eye blink. The next day they asked Dr. Kim about this. Yes, that was the agricultural revolution, she explained. Humans stopped being mostly hunters and gatherers. They started growing food and living in permanent settlements. That led to cities, writing, and specialized jobs. But why so suddenly? Doyun asked. What changed? Dr. Kim shrugged. We've always wondered that too. Some think it was climate change. Others think humans reached some kind of mental tipping point. Later that week, Sunmi made another discovery. She had been studying human physical abilities. Look at this, she told Doyun. Humans have incredible endurance. They can't run as fast as many animals, but they can run longer. Much longer. How is that useful? Doyun asked. They use something called persistence hunting. They chase animals until the animals get too tired to run anymore. No other species on Earth hunts this way, and no Federation species can do this either. Doyun thought about this. So they don't just use their brains to hunt, they use endurance. Yes. And there's more. Sunmi looked troubled. I've been studying human history. The violence they do to each other. It's unlike anything in the Federation. She showed Doyun records of human wars. The 2 scientists were shocked by what they saw. Humans had spent much of their history fighting other humans. They had made deadlier and deadlier weapons, from stone knives to nuclear bombs. Why? Doyun whispered. Why do they fight their own kind so much? Dr. Kim found them looking at the war records. She seemed sad but not surprised. You found our dark side, she said. Yes, we have a violent history. Every human culture has stories of war. It's something we're trying to move beyond. But why? Sunmi asked. Other species have conflicts, but nothing like this. Doctor? Kim sat down with them. There are many theories, competition for resources, different beliefs, power struggles. But honestly, we don't fully understand it ourselves. The next day, Dr. Kim gave them access to military history archives. Sunmi was especially interested in how quickly humans had developed weapons. Other species took thousands of years to go. From simple weapons to advanced ones, she told Doyun. Humans did it in a few hundred years. Over the next month, the Federation scientists gathered more data. They studied human bones, muscles, and brains. They looked at human history and behavior. They tested human physical abilities. One day, Doyun was watching humans run in a park near the research center. Something about the way they moved caught his attention. He took videos and brought them back to Sunmi. Look at how they run, he said. Look at their eyes. Sunmi watched the videos carefully. The forward-facing eyes, that's a predator trait. Yes. And their throwing ability is amazing. No other species can throw objects with such force and accuracy. They began to look for other predator traits in humans. They found several. Humans had good depth perception. They could track moving objects well, they could plan ahead, and they worked together when hunting. But this doesn't make sense, Sunmi said. Intelligent species evolve from prey animals, not predators. That's what we've seen on every world. Doyun was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "What if we've been wrong? What if humans are not prey that became smart enough to escape predators? What if they are predators that became smart enough to become better predators?" The idea was shocking. In Federation science, intelligence always evolved as a defense, never as a weapon. Prey animals got smarter to avoid being eaten. Predators didn't need to be as smart because they already had physical advantages. "We need to report this to the Federation Council," Doyun said. "This changes everything we know about evolution." That night, Doyun sent a message to Admiral Junho, their Federation contact. The message was simple, but disturbing. "We believe humans may be the first predator species to achieve high intelligence. Request immediate consultation on the implications." 2 days later, Admiral Junho's reply came. "Return to Federation space immediately. Bring all research data. This matter requires full council review." When Dr. Kim arrived at the research center the next morning, she found Doyun and Sunmi packing their equipment. "What's happening?" she asked. "Are you leaving?" Doyun looked uncomfortable. "We've been called back for a report. We'll return soon." But Dr. Kim was smart. She had noticed the questions they asked and the data they collected. "You've found something about us, haven't you?" she said. "Something that worries your people?" Doyun couldn't lie. "Yes, but I can't discuss it yet. I'm sorry." After the Federation, scientists left. Dr. Kim sat alone in the empty lab. She looked at the notes they had left behind. Most were in the Federation language, which she couldn't read. But she understood enough to know they had been studying human predatory behavior. "They've figured it out," she whispered to herself. "They've realized what we are."
1 week after the Federation ships left Earth, Dr. Hana Kim sat in a meeting room at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Leaders from many countries were there. They looked worried. "They just left," said the UN Secretary General. "No."
Message. No explanation. "We need to know why." Dr. Kim took a deep breath. "I think I know why. The Federation scientists who worked with me were studying human evolution. Based on the notes they left behind, I believe they discovered something that scared them." She showed the group her research. In Federation science, intelligence evolves only in prey animals. Species become smart to escape predators. But humans developed intelligence as predators. The room was quiet. Then a military general spoke up. "Are you saying they see us as dangerous because we're predators?" "Yes," said Dr. Kim. "But there's more to it than that. Humans are strange predators. We hunt, but we also create art. We fight wars, but we also build hospitals. We're more complex than just predators." "Can we contact them?" asked the Secretary General. "Explain this to them?" "They've blocked all our signals," said a communications expert. "We can't reach them." Dr. Kim looked out the window at the city below. "Then we need to understand ourselves better. If they come back, we need to explain what humans really are." Meanwhile, on the Federation homeworld, Doyun and Sunmi were called to a private meeting. They were surprised to see it wasn't with the full council. Only Elder Jinwoo, the oldest council member, was there. With him was Commander Hyuk, a high-ranking military officer they hadn't met before. "What I'm about to show you is classified," said Elder Jinwoo. His voice was serious. "Only a few people in the Federation know this information." Commander Hyuk pressed a button, and a large screen showed images of a species Doyun and Sunmi had never seen before. They looked somewhat like large cats that walked on 2 legs. Their faces were fierce, with sharp teeth and eyes that seemed to glow with intelligence. "These are the Varkas," said Commander Hyuk. "They were contacted by the Federation 287 years ago." "I've never heard of them," said Sunmi. Because they are hidden from our history, said Elder Jinwu. The Varkas were the first predator species with high intelligence that we ever met, and they were very dangerous. For the next hour, Elder Jinwu and Commander Hayuk told them the secret history of the Varkas. After contact with the Federation, the Varkas had quickly learned how to build faster ships and better weapons. They had attacked and conquered 14 worlds in just 20 years. Millions had died. The Federation finally stopped them, said Commander Hayuk. But the war was terrible. The Varkas are now contained in their home system under permanent quarantine. Doyen was shocked. So that's why the Council is so worried about humans. They think humans might be like the Varkas. Elder Jinwu nodded. The similarities are concerning. Predator traits, quick to learn new technology, history of violence. But humans are different, said Sunmi. They're not just predators, they have empathy, art, cooperation. The Varkas had those too, said Commander Hayuk, within their own groups. But they saw other species only as prey or enemies. Doyen thought about Dr. Kim and the other humans he had met. We need to study humans more before making a decision. They might be predators, but they might be something new that we haven't seen before. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim hadn't stopped working. She had gathered a team of scientists, experts in human evolution, brain science, and behavior. They worked day and night to understand what made humans different from other predators. Look at this, said a brain scientist, showing Dr. Kim a scan of a human brain. The parts of our brain that handle empathy are much bigger than in other predator animals. We can understand and care about the feelings of others, even the feelings of animals we might hunt. And look at this, said an anthropologist. Humans take care of their sick and injured. Most predators abandon pack members who can't keep up. Dr. Kim nodded. So we have predator traits, but we also have traits that predators usually don't have. We're a mix. They kept finding more evidence. Humans made music and art that had nothing to do with hunting or survival. They worked together in huge groups of millions of people. They could put themselves in danger to save strangers. These were not typical predator behaviors. I think I understand now, said Dr. Kim. Humans started as prey animals like all intelligent species. But instead of just getting smarter to escape predators, we also became predators ourselves. Prey animal that became a predator, said another scientist. That's why we're different. We know both sides. Dr. Kim worked late into the night writing up their findings. If the Federation came back, she wanted to be ready to explain humans to them. The next morning, Dr. Kim woke up to the sound of her phone ringing. It was the UN Secretary General. Dr. Kim, the Federation has made contact again. They want to meet with you specifically. How soon can you be at the spaceport? Dr. Kim's heart beat faster. I'll be there in an hour. When she arrived, at the spaceport, a small Federation ship was waiting. Inside were Doyun and Sunmi. Dr. Kim, said Doyun, we need to talk about humans. The three of them sat in a meeting room at the spaceport. Dr. Kim showed them her research first. Yes, humans have predator traits, she said. But we also have strong empathy, cooperation, and creativity. We're not just predators. We're a species that was prey and became predators, so we understand both experiences. Doyen and Sunmi exchanged looks. Then Doyen spoke. Dr. Kim, there's something you need to know. The Federation has met another predator species before. They were called the Varkas, and they were very dangerous. That's why the Council is worried about humans. Dr. Kim was surprised. I see. And they think we might be like these Varkas? Some do, said Sunmi. But others, including us, think humans might be different. The Varkas never showed the level of empathy and cooperation that humans do. They never questioned their own violent nature. Doyen leaned forward. We've been studying your brain structures. Humans have predator features, yes. But you also have something no other predator species we've seen has: extremely developed empathy centers. You can put yourselves in the place of others, even those who are very different from you. Dr. Kim nodded. That's what my team found too. We think it's because we evolved as prey first, then became predators later. We know what it's like to be hunted, so we can understand the suffering of others. This is very important, said Doyen. It might change how the Federation sees humans. As they talked, a message came in from the Federation Council. Admiral Junho's face appeared on a screen. Doyen, Sunmi, your time is up, he said. Bring Dr. Kim to the council meeting. They're ready to make a decision about Earth. The small ship took off from Earth, heading for the large Federation vessel in orbit. Dr. Kim looked out the window at her planet getting smaller below them. What do you think the council will decide? She asked. I don't know, said Doyen. But what we've learned about humans is important. You're not just predators. You're something new in the galaxy. Predators who can choose not to be predators. Dr. Kim thought about human history, with all its violence and kindness, its wars and its art. We're still figuring out what we are, she said, but I hope the Federation gives us a chance to show them. The ship docked with the larger vessel. As they prepared to meet the council, Dr. Kim reviewed her notes one last time. The future of human Federation relations might depend on what she said next. Dr. Hana Kim had never imagined she would stand before an alien council to speak for all humanity. Yet here she was, in the Grand Council chamber of the Federation's main ship, with all 7 council members watching her. The room was silent as she entered with Doyen and Sunmi. Elder Jinwoo, the oldest council member, spoke first. Dr. Hana Kim of Earth, you have been brought here because a serious question has arisen about your species. Our scientists have found evidence that humans evolved as predators, not as prey. This is very unusual and potentially concerning. Dr. Kim nodded. I understand your concerns. But I believe there's more to humans than just being predators. Council member Minho frowned. We have dealt with predator species before. The Varkas nearly destroyed half the Federation. We cannot take that risk again. Humans are not the Varkas, Dr. Kim said firmly. May I present what we've learned about human evolution? Elder Jinwoo nodded. Please proceed. Dr. Kim touched the small device Doyen had given her. Images appeared in the air, showing the history of human evolution. Humans did not start as predators, she began. Our earliest ancestors were small, tree-dwelling mammals that were hunted by many larger animals. We were prey first for millions of years. She showed more images of early human ancestors. As we evolved, we developed prey adaptations, fear responses, group living for safety, and better running abilities. But we also slowly developed some predator traits, forward-facing eyes, tool use, and cooperation for hunting. The council watched closely as she continued. What makes humans unique is that we had both experiences. We know what it's like to be prey, to be hunted and afraid. But we also learned to be hunters. This dual nature shaped our brains and our behavior. Dr. Kim showed brain scans next. Human brains have strong predator features. We can track, plan, and coordinate hunts. But we also have extremely developed empathy centers. We can understand the feelings of others, even those very different from us. This combination is very rare. Council member Sori spoke up. But humans have a violent history. You fight wars against your own kind. You've developed terrible weapons. These are predator behaviors. Yes, said Dr. Kim. We have that darkness in us. But we also build hospitals. We create art and music. We risk our lives to save strangers. We question our own violent nature and try to be better. She paused, looking at each council member. Humans are not just predators. We're predators who are trying to be more than our instincts. We're predators who can choose not to be predators. The council talked among themselves quietly. Then Admiral Junho asked, if humans join the wider galaxy, how can we be sure you won't follow the path of the Varkas? How do we know you won't become conquerors? Doyen stepped forward. If I may, Council, in all our studies of humans, we found something the Varkas never had: self-doubt. All eyes turned to him. The Varkas believed they were right to conquer others. They never questioned their actions. But humans constantly question themselves. Their literature, art, and philosophy are full of debates about right and wrong. They worry about being too violent or too cruel. Sunmi joined him. And they've been getting less violent over time, not more. Despite their weapons, Humans have fewer wars now than in their past. They're creating rules against violence. They're choosing a different path. Elder Jinwoo leaned forward. Dr. Kim, what do you think makes humans different from other predators? Dr. Kim thought carefully before answering. Two things. First, we remember being prey. Deep in our history and our instincts, we know what it's like to be hunted and afraid. That gives us empathy. Second, we turned our predator nature inward. Instead of just hunting other species, we competed with ourselves. We pushed ourselves to be smarter, to build better tools, to create more beautiful things. We turned our predator drive into something creative. The council called for a break to discuss what they had heard. Dr. Kim waited with Doyun and Sunmi in a small room nearby. Do you think they'll accept us? She asked. Doyun's 4 eyes blinked slowly. I don't know. But you spoke well. You showed them the truth about humans, both the dark and the light. Hours later, they were called back to the council chamber. Elder Jinwoo stood to speak. We have reached a decision. Humans will not be placed under quarantine. Dr. Kim let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. However, Jinwoo continued. We will proceed carefully with human integration into the Federation. Technology transfers will be gradual. Cultural exchanges will come first. Minho still looked unhappy. We will be watching closely. Any sign of aggressive expansion will lead to an immediate review of this decision. We understand, said Dr. Kim, and we accept these terms. 2 days later, Dr. Kim returned to Earth with news of the Federation's decision. Human leaders were relieved, but also curious about what had happened. They were afraid of us, Dr. Kim explained to the UN Assembly. They had met another predator species before, and it went badly. But we convinced them that humans are different. How? Asked the Secretary General. By showing them that we're more than just predators. We're predators who chose a different path. We're predators who can feel empathy. We're predators who create art and music. We're predators who question ourselves. In the months that followed, Federation representatives returned to Earth. Cultural exchanges began. Humans learned about alien art, music, and philosophy. The Federation learned about human creativity, resilience, and compassion. One evening, a year after first contact, Dr. Kim sat with Taiho in her office. He had returned to Earth as the main Federation ambassador. There's something I still don't understand, Taiho said. When we first made contact, we thought humans evolved without natural predators. But you knew that wasn't true. Why didn't you correct us right away? Dr. Kim smiled. Because the question itself was interesting. It made us think about ourselves in a new way. She looked out the window at the stars. For most of our history, we've told ourselves that we're special because we're smart, because we have technology and language. But your question made us look deeper. It made us ask, what really makes humans different? Taiho nodded. And what answer did you find? That we're not special because we had no predators. We're special because we were prey who became predators, and then became something more than both. She turned back to him. We're the only species we know who had both experiences, being hunted and being hunters. That shaped us. It gave us both fear and courage, both violence and empathy. It made us complicated. Taiho's 4 eyes blinked thoughtfully. In all our explorations, we've never found a species quite like humans. You don't fit our theories about how intelligence evolves. Maybe that's good, said Dr. Kim. Maybe the universe needs different kinds of intelligence. Prey species like yours, who value safety and harmony, and species like ours, who push boundaries and take risks. As long as you remember your empathy along with your predator instincts, Taiho said. Dr. Kim nodded. That's the challenge for humans. That's always been our challenge. To keep our courage and creativity without losing our compassion. To remember what it was like to be prey, even as we explored the stars as predators. Outside, the first Federation human joint science vessel prepared for launch. It would explore new worlds, with both species working together. They had named the ship Dual Nature. As Dr. Kim watched the ship rise into the night sky, she thought, about how a simple question had changed everything. The Federation had asked why humans evolved without natural predators. The answer had surprised everyone. Humans hadn't evolved without predators. They had evolved beyond being just predators, and that made all the difference. The stars looked different tonight. Dr. Jun Kim knew this because he had been watching them for 20 years. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked again through the large telescope at Seoul National Observatory. "That is not right," he said quietly. Small dot of light moved in a way no star or planet should. It changed direction too quickly. June checked his computer screens. The object was big, maybe a kilometer wide, and it was heading toward Earth. He picked up his phone and called his boss. "Director Kang, I found something you need to see." 3 days later, the world knew. Huge ships were coming to Earth, not one but 50 of them. News shows talked about nothing else. The internet was full of videos showing the ships getting closer each day. In his small apartment, June watched the president speak on TV. "We have made contact with the visitors. They call themselves the Vora. They say they come in peace and wish to meet with Earth's leaders." June did not believe it was that simple. Nothing ever was. General Hana Park stood tall in her crisp uniform as government cars pulled up to the Seoul International Conference Center. Leaders from every major country were arriving for the meeting with the aliens. "All security measures in place?" she asked her second-in-command. "Yes, General. Though I'm not sure what good our guns will do if they decide to attack. Their ships could destroy our cities from orbit." Hana nodded. "Sometimes the threat of force is enough, but stay alert." The Vora had agreed to send down just one ship to the meeting. It now hovered above the conference center, a dark oval blocking the sun. It was smaller than the ships in orbit, but still the size of a large building. A beam of blue light shot down from the ship to the landing pad. When it disappeared, 3 tall figures stood there. The aliens were nearly 2 meters tall with pale, blue skin that looked almost metallic. They had 4 arms and walked on 2 legs. Their faces had no nose, just slits where a human nose would be, and large black eyes that never seemed to blink. The middle alien stepped forward as world leaders gathered around. Translators with special devices provided by the Vora stood ready. I'm Commander Drool of the Vora expansion fleet," the alien said in a deep voice that the translators changed to each human language. "We thank you for this welcome." The UN Secretary General stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth and look forward to peaceful talks." Commander Drool's mouth moved in what might have been a smile. "Yes, talks. We have much to discuss." Dr. Subin. Lee was not invited to the big meeting with the aliens. Instead, she was in a small park watching crows. As an expert on birds, she found their behavior today strange. The crows gathered in larger groups than normal and seemed agitated. "They know something is happening," she said to herself, making notes in her tablet. A crow landed near her feet. It looked at her with one eye, then the other. Birds did this to see better. But this crow seemed to be studying her. Subin stayed very still. The crow hopped closer. It made a soft sound, not the usual harsh caw. Then it flew away to join the others. On the other side of the city, important people were meeting aliens. Here, Subin felt something just as strange was happening with Earth's birds. Inside the conference room, Commander Drool showed a map of the galaxy on a floating screen. "Your solar system sits at an important crossroads," Drool explained. "We are at war with another species called the Keth. We need Earth as a military base." The room erupted in angry voices. Hana Park watched carefully as the world leaders protested. The American president stood up. "We will not become involved in your war. Earth is not a military base for anyone." Drool's black eyes showed no emotion. "You misunderstand. This is not a request." He pressed something on his wrist. Suddenly, all the lights went out. Phones, computers, everything electronic stopped working. Emergency lights came on, running on simple batteries. In their dim glow, Drool looked even more alien. "We have disabled your technology with an electromagnetic pulse," he said calmly. "Your weapons, communications, transportation systems, all useless now. Chaos broke out in the room. Security teams rushed to protect their leaders. Hana pulled out her gun, but as the alien had said, it did not work. "Silence!" Drool's voice boomed without need of translation. When the room quieted, he continued, "We chose Earth because our scans showed you have valuable resources but limited defense capabilities. We will begin landing our forces in 48 hours. Do not resist and your people will be treated fairly as a subject population." The Chinese premier stepped forward. "Our militaries will fight you with or without technology." Drool made that strange smile again. "Your primitive weapons are no match for us. Without your electronics, you are practically defenseless." June Kim, who had been invited as a scientific advisor, spoke up from the back of the room. "Why tell us your plans? Why not just attack?" "Efficiency," Drool replied. "Mass resistance leads to unnecessary deaths. We prefer ordered transition of power." He pressed his wrist device again. The blue beam appeared and the three aliens stepped into it and vanished. Their ship moved upward to rejoin the fleet. The world leaders looked at each other in shock and fear. "We need to prepare for war," Hana said, breaking the silence. "Spread the word however we can without technology." Tae Park was playing a game on his computer when everything shut down. At first he thought it was just a power outage in his neighborhood. Then he looked out the window. Cars had stopped in the middle of the road. Nothing worked. People were getting out of their vehicles looking confused. Tae's grandfather came into the room. "It's the aliens," the old man said, turning on a battery-powered radio. "They've done something to all our electronics." They listened to emergency broadcasts explaining what had happened at the meeting. The aliens were going to invade in 2 days. "We should go to your grandmother's village," his grandfather said. "It will be safer in the countryside." As they packed basic supplies, Tae noticed something odd outside. Birds were gathering on the power lines and rooftops. More birds than he had ever seen in the city. Different kinds, too. Not just pigeons, but hawks, crows, even birds he didn't recognize. They all seemed to be watching. Waiting. By nightfall, General Hana Park had set up a command center using old military equipment that didn't rely on advanced electronics. Runners carried messages between government buildings. It was like going back in time 100 years. "What's our status?" she asked an officer who had just arrived on bicycle. "Bad, General. Most of our military equipment is useless. Planes can't fly. Tanks won't move. Modern guns don't fire." Hana nodded grimly. "What about older weapons? Rifles with simple firing mechanisms?" "We're gathering what we can find, but it won't be enough against their technology." A soldier ran in with a message. "General, there are reports coming in from around the world. Birds are acting strangely everywhere, gathering in huge flocks, especially near cities." Hana frowned. "Birds? That's not important now." "With respect, General, millions of birds are moving in coordinated patterns. Scientists are saying it's unprecedented behavior." Before Hana could respond, Dr. June Kim entered the room. "General Park, I need to speak with you," he said urgently. "I've been studying the Vora ships. They're positioning themselves above major cities. I think they plan to land troops all at once." "How do we fight them, Dr. Kim?" Hana asked. "They've taken away our technology." June looked out the window at the dark shapes of birds circling against the night sky. "I don't know," he said. "But I think we should prepare for the worst." Neither of them knew that Earth's oldest defense system was already awake and preparing for battle. The Vora had studied humans and their weapons carefully, but they had never considered the birds.